Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Pickup Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. We are at week 7 in the NFL season, and so far I am destroying both of these morons, but I am Mike Goodpaster. I want to tell you guys all to go to BetMGM as the top recommended sports book from the Grueling Truth for betting all your NFL games. Click on the link in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube to go check out BetMGM. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Grueling Truth. So let's go ahead and let's meet the two guests that come on every week. I'm going to call them guests because I keep beating them so bad. I might just call Dan Kornhauser the Rug. How you doing, Dan?
I would be doing a lot better if you didn't have an amazing week, but I'm good otherwise.
So why don't you break down what kind of weeks we had? Because you guys weren't bad either. You're just not up to my standard.
We were not bad. So Steve and I both went 9-6. Mike, you led the week again at 11-4, which I believe the 11 is the highest thus far anyone's had this season. And Mike, coming into the week, you were up by 3 on me. So then that puts you up by 5 on me, and you're up 6 on Risley.
All right. And that brings us to Steve Risley, who wants to do a new segment. Steve, tell us about it.
Yeah,
it's only supposed to last 30 seconds, so it's going to be like sex with Risley.
The quick little who gives a damn segment. And I got 2 things this week for the who gives a damn segment. Number 1 is Stan Kroenke has told FIFA to go to hell because they're trying to rape and pillage Los Angeles to bring World Cup soccer.
Well, that's what Stan Kroenke did to get the stadium in LA.
He owns a stadium in LA, and
he doesn't.
In SoFi.
You can't own something that the majority of the public paid for, and not you.
Well, he does. Okay, he owns it. And anyway, he has told FIFA to go to hell. So it looks like right now, FIFA has said goodbye, and they're not going to be playing soccer in LA. Who gives a damn? Frankly. All right. Secondly, on my second piece of who gives a damn, I saw yesterday where Showtime has pulled its plug on its boxing program following HBO, who did it about a month or 2 months ago.
No, they didn't. They did it like 10 years ago, Risley.
Okay, well, they pulled the plug. So now, no longer, because of the resurgence of MMA and everything, and not having any kind of good boxers out there to box, and any kind of Muhammad Ali's or anything, nobody would be going to boxing if it wasn't for Oscar De La Hoya toting around his beautiful girlfriend.
What the hell are you talking
Saunders.
about?
Here we go.
Nobody even knows who the hell De La Hoya is anymore.
And as a matter of fact, I wanted to, so Showtime, you will not get boxing anymore free in the United States.
You don't get anything for free on Showtime. You have to
you pay for the subscription, but then you get it for free. You don't have to go pay $49 to watch it.
Sorry, Steve, but if you pay for it every month,
the only people that give a damn about soccer are guys like you and me.
I don't care about soccer.
Who went and on Saturday mornings went to the fields and checked out all the MILFs on the other team, and then watched Swarm Ball go on with their kids.
I've never went to watch soccer.
I coached my kid on a soccer team, and I didn't know what the hell. I didn't know how to spell soccer, and it was just Swarm Ball, and all they cared about was the treats afterwards. That's my who gives a damn segment.
That was longer than 30 seconds. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this week's games.
Because you kept interrupting, Mike.
We're going to start off with Thursday Night Football, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the New Orleans Saints. This is bounce back and forth. What's your latest line on BetMGM, Dan? Do we have -1 Saints now?
Let's see. We have, let me just pull it up right here. My computer is butt.
I got -1. Jacksonville -1.
I'll wake you when we get there, but go on.
All right. So we're going to go.
These are the lines courtesy of BetMGM.
All right. So
yeah, -1.
Jaguars are -1 right now. We're going to go ahead. We're going to pick this game first. This is the first game of the week.
No, it's Saints -1.
I know. That's what I thought. It's bounced around, and this is a line that at one point went up to Saints -3 because Trevor Lawrence was injured, dinged up last week. But now the line is back down to 1 as he's back. It looks like he's going to play. The Saints are 5-1 against the spread. My thing about the Jaguars is this. A lot of people thought last week would be the week where they would have the hangover from 2 weeks in London playing the Colts. I think it comes here. I think Derek Carr is starting to get healthy. Both teams are very good defensively. I think the Saints have hit. I think they've been under like almost every game this year. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Saints in -1 here, Dan.
Okay, so that's what we're going with. New Orleans -1 is our official line.
I have Jaguars -1.
Yeah, I have checked 3, including BetMGM, and they all 3 say -1 Saints. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, so that's what we're going with. Saints -1 is our line. Okay,
Yeah.
so Saints -1. You're going New Orleans. I'm going to go New Orleans as well, mostly because this line feels a little fishy to me. Because I know there's questions about Trevor Lawrence's availability this week. He is questionable right now, but if they're leaning to maybe like him not playing, why wouldn't this line be higher? Kind of a thing. So I don't know. I'm wondering if maybe they think he's leaning towards playing, and if he does, and he's not 100% healthy, how is that going to affect him? Lower body injuries with quarterbacks are never good, but I'm going to take New Orleans just because it's weird.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I mean, this game is just relying on Trevor Lawrence playing or not. It's a pick-em game pretty much, and Lawrence is the catalyst in this game. If he plays, I think it swings back to Jacksonville being the favorite. But you got to go with what you know, and right now, he's iffy at best. And I agree. I think that Derek Carr is just continuing to improve, playing in New Orleans with that tight of a spread. Basically, it's a pick-em game. I'm going to join you guys and take the Saints on this one. I think that's a good, safe bet.
And the Saints' defense has actually been bowling out lately, so I think that'll help them in this one. Especially
Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Saints are only 1-5 against the spread when they've been favored.
Okay. The Las Vegas Raiders are favored by 3 as they travel to Chicago. Battle of, Jimmy Garoppolo and Justin Fields.
Who are
probably not. It looks like neither one will play. So you'll have Brian Hoyer against rookie Tyler Badgett. And that means there's probably not going to be a whole lot of points scored here. I'm going to go with this. I think that I'm going to take the Raiders to cover this. The Bears are a mess. Their coaching's a mess. I think the Raiders are too, but I think the Raiders are a slightly less of a mess, Dan or Steve. So I'm going to go Raiders -3.
Yeah, I agree. Raiders are riding a 3-game winning streak, I believe. They're winning ugly, but they're winning. Brian Hoyer, I think, would get the nod over time. Actually, Brian Hoyer played for the Bears a game last year, didn't he?
Brian Hoyer has played for everybody at some point.
But he did play for the Bears in the 16th week last year.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing that you're reading that on the
I know. I am reading it. I want to try and act like I'm as smart as you, Mike. So the only way I can do that is to read this crap. So, but I'm reading it and studying.
Actually, I just guessed that, but go ahead because it's always
sporting
a safe
news,
guess.
my friend. Sporting news. You're going to see a low risk game plan for both teams, but I think Hoyer would get the nod over a rookie at this point. Although the Bears have shown improvement, they have incrementally gotten better, but they're still crappy. Raiders, again, I'm going to take Los Vegas, I'm sorry, with you, Mike. I'm going to take the Raiders and give up the 3 points.
All right, Dan the Man, what do you think?
Yeah, this is ugly. If Fields was playing, I might pick Chicago in this one just because, but I'm not going with this rookie Badgett. And why aren't they starting O'Connell? If you're going to start Hoyer, just start O'Connell, right?
Yeah, I mean,
even if
I like O'Connell, he's better than Badgett. And O'Connell didn't play that bad the one game he played, I don't think.
I know he played like better than Zach Wilson has played this season in his one start. So, I mean, that ain't saying much, but at least he's not the worst. But no, I'm going to go with Vegas here too, mostly because Justin Fields isn't playing. But these teams both suck.
All right, that brings us to Steve's Indianapolis Colts, who are 1.5-point underdogs against the Cleveland Browns at Indianapolis. Steve.
Yeah, I think that this is a game. I think we all know what the outcome is going to be. The Colts, unfortunately, I don't get the mentality of the Colts. I don't think Minshew is a drop off from the They're starting their rookie. What's his name? I can't think of his name.
We would never know because they have so many designed runs. They keep
Anthony
hurt.
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. You know, I don't think Minshew threw for over 40 times for over 325 yards last week in the effort. He's capable of putting the ball in the air and bringing yards. The problem is the Colts got to 3-2 by relying on their running game. And last week, you know, they bring Jonathan Taylor back. I think one running back, Moss gets like 14 yards and Taylor gets 8 yards. They've given up on the run. Big mistake. You know, dance with the one that brung you. Stay with the run game. But it's saying that Cleveland's got, you know, one of the top defenses, allowing less than 200 yards a game. I don't see Indianapolis covering this spread at all. Cleveland is a pretty good football team. And I would say I'm going to take Cleveland and give up the 1.5 points, even though it's my home team. But, yeah, it's not going to happen.
All right. I think the big question here, Dan, is if Deshaun Watson returns or not.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up because that was the one thing is sticking out to me. I mean, Anthony Richardson being out for the rest of the year with his shoulder injury.
Loss.
It is what it is. You know, they weren't running this offense right with him. It was too much running, taking too many shots, just stupid, just bad all around. And I mean, I guess that's what to be expected, considering what we saw out of Anthony Richardson coming out of Florida. But I digress. I actually think Gardner Minshew starting for them might be a good thing compared to where Richardson's at right now. We've known Minshew to be a gamer. My only concern with that is his penchant for turnovers and the fact that, like Steve said, Cleveland's defense is elite. But if PJ Walker is the quarterback for Cleveland or Deshaun Watson at not 100% is out there, it's gonna be ugly. Either way, I think this is like the Chicago game. I think this is another low-scoring game. Just this is gonna be another ugly football week, I think. I'm going to go like I have Cleveland written down, but the more I think about it, if PJ Walker starts, I'm going to be disgusted with that pick. So I'm going to pick Indianapolis on that Cleveland -1.5. But
and you know what, Danny, I hope you're right. I hope I'll give you that point if you're right.
You'll have to, Steve, because that'll mean you're wrong and he's right. All right, Cleveland, Indianapolis. To me, Cleveland's coming off a huge win against the 49ers. They're going to lose to the Colts because this is the thing. They're the Cleveland Browns, and anytime they start to look good, they crap on themselves. But also, coming off a win that big and the way they won it, they got lucky. I mean, how many guys miss a 41-yard field goal anymore in the NFL? I mean, they lived a charmed life last week. Usually, this is the perfect time for an upset to occur. And we don't know who's going to play quarterback for Cleveland. So I'm going to go with Indianapolis also. That brings us to the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. And it seems like this year, Dan, every time we think a team's about to take off and be one of the best teams, they take 3 or 4 steps back. But the Patriots can't score. I mean, when's the last time they scored a couple touchdowns in a game? It's been a while.
20 points in the last 3 weeks, Mike.
fugly.
And you know, Mac Jones is playing poorly. And I think Bill Belichick will do his best to slow him down. And we've seen Belichick do that before and stay in games against him. Is this one game where at 8.5 points, they can keep it at least in the point spread, Dan?
No, I'm taking Buffalo all the way here. This number should be higher. New England's one of the worst teams in football. And Pats fans have no one to blame but their coach and their GM and their leader in Bill Belichick. He's the one who's put this team together. He's the one who picks all these guys come draft time. He's the one who decides who comes and who goes, when to trade these vets or whatever. And it's just not working. Mac Jones has been a colossal failure. Their offensive line isn't what we thought it would be coming into the year. Their defense isn't what is all right, but it's not quite the New England defenses that we've gotten used to over the last 20 years. And there's no Tom Brady walking through that door anytime soon. Everything is just a disaster in New England, and I don't see that changing this week. Buffalo is stacked, even without Tre'Davious White, without Matt Milano. I think they'll be fine. I'll take Buffalo -8.5.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, putting the blame game. I was going to blame Tom Brady for all of this until I was on Instagram today, and I saw him getting a beautiful suntan on the bow of his $6 million new yacht he just took delivery from, and I'm thinking, I ain't blaming Brady for anything right now. He's one of the most eligible bachelors in the country, and he's got a $6 million yacht he's cruising on, and he doesn't have to go put up with this crap in New England. Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. The spread, I think, could be higher, but we learned our lesson on taking a 14-point spread against Buffalo last week. But I'm still going to take the Bills in this one and give up the 8.5 for all the reasons you guys said.
Mike?
I don't know. 8.5 seems like an awful lot.
It is.
It does. I thought the same, but
I feel the same too.
New England's just
they're that bad.
And you know what? They should just tank the rest of the way. Try to get one of those top 2 or 3 picks and try to get a quarterback. Maybe Bill won't retire if that's the case.
Yeah, the other thing, the Patriots are giving up like 25 points per game, which has
them
20
in the last 3 weeks, as I said.
They've conceded 624 rushing yards.
Very uncharacteristic of a Bill Belichick defense.
No talent.
Okay.
Got no talent.
I'm going to take the New England Patriots at 8.5 points. I believe this. I believe Belichick in the past has figured out ways to stay in and even beat Buffalo in this situation. We watched Buffalo go to Jacksonville or go to London to play Jacksonville, get beat. Last week, they were a huge favorite. I mean, they struggled with the Giants. And, the Patriots might actually be better than the Giants right now. I mean, the Giants and the Panthers are the only 2 teams that I think might be worse than them. I'm going to take the 8.5 points and take the Buffalo Bills. All right. Ryan Peters says New England looks like they could use Jacoby Myers. And Robert Stewart says, told you Browns last game. Robert, come on. Did you bet any money on it, Robert? That's the only thing I'll say. Good pick, Robert, because Robert did tell us the Browns were going to win. But I did get the Jets last week.
You did.
So, next up, we've got the Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. The Washington Commanders are 1.5-point favorites here. And now these teams, I think, played last year to a tie. The Giants are horrible. I think they've scored like a total of 40 or 45 points their last 4 games. The Commanders allow a lot of rushing yards. Sam Howell played well last time. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm to the point where I think Tyrod Taylor may be the better choice over Daniel Jones, which if you're the Giants and you just paid Daniel Jones the $35 or $40 million a year has got to make you sick to your stomach. I'm going to take the Commanders here -1.5, Steve.
Yeah, this is one of the toughest games to pick because they're both pretty poorly evenly matched. Saquon Barkley is back, and the Commanders are giving up over 125 yards a game rushing. It bodes well for Barkley. Howell is coming off a 3 TD performance, but he's been sacked like crazy. I'm going to go against you, Mike, and at home and Giants. Giants going to end their losing streak here. I'm going to take the Giants in the 1.5 points in this one.
All right.
You think the Giants, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
the top or going all the way to the bottom.
I'm gonna go with the Washington Commanders in this one, mostly because of just how bad the Giants are. And Mike, it's interesting you brought up Tyrod Taylor being potentially the better option at quarterback over Dan Jones, because that is a conversation that a lot of Giants fans are having over here, and it's definitely something that's been popping up the last couple of days. As to you got some people questioning the decision to pay Daniel Jones all they did, but that's a different conversation.
That should have just been questioned when it happened. So
that's a whole different thing. But that aside, the fact that fans are even questioning that Tyrod Taylor is the better option right now moving forward, healthy Dan Jones or not, I think is very telling. And Giants fans should be concerned because Dan Jones ain't good, but Tyrod Taylor is a career backup. If he was a decent starter or someone thought he would be, he would have gotten that shot a long time ago. He played well in Buffalo in spurts, but he's a career backup. Okay, that's what he is, and that's what he should be. And you shouldn't be, no one should be looking at Tyrod Taylor and saying, oh, yeah, we should start that guy and hope to save our season. It's over for that. And the Giants' offensive line is just ravaged by injuries. Andrew Thomas, John Michael Schmitz Jr., Matt Perth. I mean, they just signed Tyree Phillips, I think off of Philadelphia's practice squad, and he's practicing as the starting right tackle right now, which is concerning. And I know he was there for them last year, but I think they've got Evan Neal starting at left tackle currently and Tyree Phillips at right tackle. It's just a disaster. They signed Justin Pugh off the couch last week off of some practice squad or something like that. Just bad. I think the Commanders' front four is just going to eat them alive. Whoever's at quarterback, screwed.
All right, Dan, you'll get to pick the NFC South matchup. The Atlanta Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So it's
Tampa
Bucks
Bay
minus,
favored by 2.5.
Bucks minus 2.5. I'm going to take Tampa Bay. I like what I've seen from them so far. Them in the Lions game this past week, even though the Lions won and the Bucks offense struggled a bit, and Baker Mayfield did not look good in that one. I think.
Hey, dude, I'll tell you this though. Right now, the thing people are sleeping on: the Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFL right now. They did that without either one of their starting running backs either. That defense is legit. Jared Goff's a top 10 quarterback, maybe a lot higher than top 10 right now.
Right now, he's playing like it, absolutely.
What
and
game we picking?
Falcons.
Oh, okay.
Bucks. You know what? We'll go back into the Lions later. But anyway, the Bucks defense is legit. Baker Mayfield's playing a lot better. I think they'll have more success on the outside. Mike Evans was held in check. I think they'll have more success on the outside going to him. I like what the Falcons are doing, but I can't pick Ritter. I trust the Bucks D. I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
All right. I think the Falcons, the thing about Desmond Ritter, he's had a game or two at home that was really good. He's been terrible on the road. And I mean, Baker Mayfield hasn't played bad. They got beat by a team that was just better than them last week. I'm going to take Tampa Bay minus the 2.5 also. Steve?
Yeah, I like Tampa Bay here. I thought that's where Brady had his yacht parked, but he took it down. I checked the Maritime Records registration, and he's got a park down in Miami. So never mind that. But anyway, I think Baker would be a better quarterback if he had a running game to offset and take some pressure off him. Right now, the Bucs running attack is like in 29th or 30th in the league, only averaging about 80 yards a game. Putting a lot of pressure on Mayfield, who's not a stellar quarterback. He's a doable quarterback and a good quarterback who may get good one day, but he's better than what Atlanta's got up. They're playing at home. I think Tampa Bay is a good middle-of-the-road football team. I'll give up the 2.5 and take Tampa Bay in this game.
All right. Dan, the Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 2.5. This is probably the best game of Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
It could be. See, this one's tough for me because the Detroit Lions injury report coming into this is one to watch. I know Sam Laporta played this past week, but he didn't make much of an impact. I know he's dealing with some nagging injuries. We'll see if that carries over this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown's totally healthy. That's great. But David Montgomery went down. And Montgomery was a key cog to this offense. He's a bully who kept the offense going. And now that he's out, I don't know if Reynolds is that guy to step in and take over. Reynolds was good in spots last year, but very inefficient. Not the most talented guy. He's a third or fourth running back on the roster for a reason. I would love to see Jahmyr Gibbs get the rock this week if he's healthy, but he's another one who's questionable. So if those two guys don't play, they're down to the third string running back. I think that has an effect on them. Jared Goff doesn't play as well on the road as he does at home. And Baltimore's defense is one to be feared. All their strengths on offense and on defense go directly against what Detroit likes to do. Detroit likes to work the middle of the field with Brown and Laporta and dump offs and whatever. Well, the Ravens are elite against the pass. They have a great pass rush, and they're strong in the middle of the field. Their linebackers are right in coverage. Marcus Williams, their safety, is one of the best. He's on the injury report. It's one to watch. But this should be an interesting contest. And on the other side, Detroit's defense versus the Baltimore offense. What does Detroit struggle against? The middle of the field, guarding tight ends. And who's the Baltimore Ravens tight end? Maybe the second or third best tight end in the league in Mark Andrews. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. I'm kind of on the edge of this one. I want to pick Detroit because they're playing like the better team at this point. But I'm going to pick Baltimore. I think it's going to be too much for Detroit at the end.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, this is a great football game. I mean, this is one I hope that they usually show one of these out here in LA, and I hope this is a game they put on TV out here. Baltimore's tough, being close to the top 10, on both offense and defense. Their offense ranks 11th. The Lions are in the top 10 offensive team and a top 10 defensive team too. So you've got two really good football teams here. I believe it or not, I'm going to say this, and I'm not nearly as smart as you guys, but as good as they are, I still think a lot of people aren't taking the Lions as seriously as they should. Mike, you said you think they're playing the best football in the NFL right now. I tend to agree with you, but I'm not sure they're getting that kind of credit. This is a game a lot like the Chiefs game at the beginning of the season for them. I think Goff is really matured. And I think he doesn't rattle very much. And I think that's a difference. Lamar Jackson, as good as he is, he gets behind and he starts trying to take over a game by himself, I think, and doing things. And while we all think he's settled down, I still see flashes of him saying, I'm just going to run free. He led his team in rushing again last week. And, at some point he's got to learn not to do that as a quarterback in the NFL. I'm glad the spread's only 2.5 because I think this is a very evenly matched football team. But I think the Lions are for real, and I'm going to take Detroit and give up the 2.5 points.
Yeah, and I think when I look at this game, the team with the better quarterback is the Lions. The team with the better defense is the Lions. I think the defensive front will give Baltimore all kind of issues. You talked about Detroit's injury report. But it's not like Baltimore is without injuries. I mean, Marcus Williams came away from the Ravens road win over the Tennessee Titans with a hamstring injury. He's probably out. You got defensive end Brett Urban. You got defensive back Kevon Seymour. Both suffered injuries in week 6. Owe, I think that's how you say his name.
Or the pass rusher from Penn State.
He might be back, but you got Malik Harrison, who was in the NFL's 5-step concussion protocol, was a limited participant on practice today. Jadeveon Clowney, who's coming off a 2-sack performance against the Titans, sat out practice today. And, when I look at this, I think the Detroit Lions are the better team. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens haven't looked awesome. And you can say what you want about Jared Goff, but at Tampa Bay, he threw for over 350 yards. He played damn near a perfect game, no turnovers. He threw for probably 250, 270 against Kansas City and beat the Chiefs on the road. And this team, offensively and defensively, are one of 3 teams during the top 10 in the NFL on offense and defense. Now, Baltimore's close. I think they're 11th on offense or defense. But there's only 3 teams, and that's the Eagles, the Niners, and the Lions. And who would have thought last year at the start of the year that a year from then we would be talking about the NFC might be better than the AFC? Because last year at this time, the AFC was by far the better, conference. So I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I don't know why Dan's got to be such a hater.
I mean, honestly, dude, the thing with me, aside from being a jaded Lions fan, and I've seen this show before. I've seen this. I've seen the Lions start 6-3 and then lose 6 in a row. I know how this
really
goes.
Haven't seen that often, Dan.
No, but when they have been good or started to look good in the early starts of the season, and then it collapses at the end, or they're butt in the beginning and then they get a little better at the end, but then by then it's too much. It's too little, too late. And honestly, can you blame me if I'm not really impressed with the Lions' schedule thus far? Week 1 against the Chiefs and a win. that could be considered a fluke. Crazy things happen in week 1. I mean, how many times have the Giants beat the Cowboys in week 1 in seasons past? And they were never a
Yeah,
better
but you know
team.
what? You could say that it may be a fluke, but the Lions keep winning. And
then, teams like Atlanta, Green Bay, Carolina, give me a break. These
really,
teams,
give me a break. That is just asinine. It's the NFL. The Cleveland Browns just beat the San Francisco 49ers after last week. You had said they had no chance. They beat them with P.J. Walker. It's the NFL. There's no game on here that is a definite in any way.
Yeah.
We all should know that by our records every week.
Well, yeah, but we
And,
can also
Dan, a win's a win in the NFL. I don't care who you're playing. A
Right,
win
but
is a win.
you could also, I mean, Mike, we've had this conversation last year about other teams. You could look at a team's schedule and not be impressed by the teams they face. I mean, you question Philadelphia.
But when you look at
I disagree with that, Dan.
But when you look at I don't disagree with it completely. But what I'm saying is this: when you look at the way Jared Goff's played the last 2 years, he has become a franchise quarterback, and they have an elite defense. The defensive line is really good. The offensive line is the best in football, Dan. This team is not going to shit their pants at the end of the season. This team will win the NFC
This is a
North.
different Lions team. I agree with you, Mike. I think this, Dan. I think that if I look at Detroit Lions, and I've become a fan of this football team, this is a team that's won their games, not had them handed to them for a win.
That's true.
They have won they've gone out and beat teams, played good, executed good football across the board, well coached. They have a solid quarterback, and they're winning football games no matter who they're playing. And I don't think you can equate this Lions franchise with previous Lions franchise. And I know you're a fan for a long time and jaded, and I'm the same way with the Colts. I feel the Colts were going to get beat this weekend because
nobody wants to hear that. You saw your team win a Super Bowl at least.
I was just going to say, at least you got to see.
Yeah, at least, yeah. Well, we have 2. We actually have 2.
You don't. You don't. There's no other Indianapolis Super Bowl.
I knew I'd
No,
get
give
him.
it to
Where's
him.
he
Fuck
at?
it.
He's
No,
over there.
you can't give somebody something they didn't win.
I know. I hear you, Mike. I don't believe you.
Show me pictures. Show me pictures of the parade in
the Lombardi
Indianapolis in
Trophy is sitting
1971.
in the entryway into Colts facility.
Well, yeah, because
Both of them
you had a loser owner that basically didn't want to do his job, and he failed.
Dan, I encourage you to start believing in your football team. They are going to make noise in the NFL this year.
I'll try.
Big time noise.
All right. Did everybody pick that game? I think they did.
Yes, we're good.
Next up,
I got the Ravens.
The Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are.
Hold on, didn't I just see Pittsburgh and the Rams up there?
Yeah, you skipped Pittsburgh and the Rams.
It's because it took you too damn long to talk about the other game, I guess.
I got excited.
Well,
so next up,
Mike.
we've got the Steelers and Rams. Steelers and Rams, which is a rematch of Super Bowl 14, of course. Now, the point spread here is 3.5, favoring the Rams. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I tell you, I think I listened to the sporting news last night down here in LA, and I think they've sold 75 tickets to this game.
Wow.
So
now, I guarantee you there will be more. The Steelers will sell that place out.
Yeah, the Steelers will sell it out. The Rams there'll be more black and gold than there will be blue and gold in the stadium, SoFi. And plus, the F1 is in Vegas, so
let's face it, the Rams played the Super Bowl in their home stadium, and the crowd was like 60-40 for Cincinnati.
Right. Well, that's because that's how the NFL distributes tickets. But anyway, that being
no, it's not.
The F1 race is in Vegas.
What the hell does that mean?
Everybody is trying to get to Vegas right now. Everybody. Nobody gives a damn about the NFL right now. That being said, when you have Cooper Kupp playing good football, you're a dangerous football team. And who's that other guy that got the rookie? Puka Nacua.
Robert Stewart agrees with the Lions, but still living down the Barry Sanders curse. There's no Barry Sanders curse. It is the William Clay Ford family curse.
All right, I was talking.
Go ahead. I just wanted to acknowledge Robert. I thought you'd want to. You must be a hater. Go ahead.
Somebody also said how you guys were picking against me intentionally, trying to take me down to the bottom.
Nobody said that.
Yeah, there was some comment on there.
No, Robert said only wanted Riz to pick different question mark.
Yeah, you guys are just teaming up on me this week. That's all right.
Yeah, I don't have to team up on anybody because I'm whipping both you guys' asses. So just go ahead and make a pick. And it'll be like that all
I
year
think
long.
Cooper Cup's a deal maker, breaker here. I think they're elevating Stafford's game up a little bit. When you got Aaron Donald healthy and playing, you're always dangerous on defense. It's a home game for the Rams. I know Pittsburgh's getting better incrementally, and when you got Mike Tomlin on the sideline, you've got a very dangerous football team anytime. And the Rams coach, what's his name? I keep wanting to
Sam McVay.
McVay.
Or Sean McVay, I mean.
Sean McVay. I get him and Peyton mixed up all the time. Both of them are idiots. But I'm gonna give up the 3.5 points and take the Rams in this game because of Cooper Kupp.
All right, Dan.
Easy peasy. Now this line's a little weird to me, mostly because I don't think the Rams are that good.
No.
And
Well, that's why usually the home team gets 3, so really the Rams are favored by 0.5 point.
Yeah, but I don't even know if they're that good. Their defense is middle of the pack. I mean, surprisingly, they're top 10 in passing, but they just lost Kyron Williams, who, I mean, he got hurt this past week. Their leading rusher, one of the top leading rushers in the NFL right now, has been playing very well for him in that workhorse role, but he's out. His backup's out. And they're down to their rookie, I don't know, 5th-round pick or whatever it is. Evans, I think his last name is, out of TCU. And I think they brought in Henderson off of like Green Bay's practice squad because he was on the team last year. That's a mess. And their offensive line still questionable. Like I said, the defense is middle of the pack. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I don't think Pittsburgh's great, and I question everything about that offense. I don't know what the problem is with that offense, but they're getting Deontay Johnson back, I believe, this week, which will be a boost, or at least he's practicing again. So I know the window is open for him, that 21-day window to come back. So he's coming back soon. Maybe that'll invigorate them a little bit. Maybe the Rams win, but I think it'll be less than 3.5. I'll take Pittsburgh.
Hey, Mike, can I ask you a question before you make your pick?
Yeah.
This deal you just said, a little gem I just learned. Can you, don't expand upon, but verify it? You said that in the betting line things that generally a home team automatically gets 3 points.
Yeah, that is the general.
That's something I didn't know. Those are things you should be talking about since BetMGM sponsors you.
I think you're the only person that didn't know, though.
Oh, well, okay, I'm an idiot.
And if we want you to bet, we'll have to teach you how to use the computer to bet. So we had
I don't know how to do that either.
So
the home team automatically, pretty much, routinely gets 3 points given to them.
That is usually the general consensus.
It's not locked in concrete. I get that, but
yeah.
So if it spreads like New Orleans with -1.5, really, the other team's favored because
because they think that it is 3 point. The common consensus is 3 points is what your advantage is when you play at home.
Okay. So if a home team only gets a 1.5 point spread, they probably really are being looked at by the bettors as the underdog.
Yeah, it's like I think the fact that the Lions-Ravens is 2.5 right now tells me that generally
the Ravens are favored to win.
The Lions are the better team.
Well, MGM bet, I think in that pick, they picked the Ravens to win that game.
Yeah, well, because they're at home.
But they're at home.
But I don't really think home field advantage is as big a deal as most people.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead and move on. I apologize for butting in, but that's a nice little gem that I did not know. And I'll bet there's a lot of people out there that didn't have a feeling of that. I realize I don't bet, but that's nice to know.
I really sometimes just assume that everybody knows that. But,
and now I'm going to change how I make my picks.
Okay. All right. So
your ass is grass now, Goodpaster.
I don't think so.
I'm going to put you out to pasture.
Nice.
And it won't be good.
Like Old Yeller.
Go ahead, Mike.
Am I allowed to pick the game now?
Yeah. Yes.
If I interrupt you even for a second, you get on my ass.
Let them know.
I don't know. I think this one is like a 50-50 game for me. Kyra, if they had Williams, you said he's out for sure this week, Dan?
I mean, he's questionable.
Is he the one that's in
jail? There's a possibility, but all signs are pointing to him not playing this week.
But
crazier shit has happened at the end of the week.
Yeah, some Rams idiot what got put in jail Sunday night after the game for having illegal gun in his car.
I mean, the fact that they brought back Darrell Henderson from nowhere is a good sign. I don't think you're going to sign somebody off of someone else's practice squad.
Yeah, I'm going to. This may sound weird, but I would rather take the Rams -3, but I'm going to take the Rams -3.5. We'll just take a shot here, see what happens. We got some comments.
And Steve, you went Rams too, right?
Yeah, I went Rams too.
All right, so Robert's trying to explain this to you, Steve. It's like getting out the bus in West Lafayette down 10.
You see, Robert, that's where you're an idiot. Every time when I played in Indiana, it was a known fact that in the Big Ten, we walked into every stadium 10 points ahead before the clock.
Then why did you lose
started.
every game to Purdue at Purdue?
Well, they outscored us by 11. We were up 10 to start the game, and then they beat us by 11.
They beat you by more than 11 most times.
Yeah, they did. But, that no rule in betting holds true and fast like concrete.
The Arizona Cardinals,
but
at
Robert,
the Seattle Seahawks.
Screw you talking about my Indiana basketball team.
It's Robert's.
You want to see my championship ring?
No,
Robert, right there it is.
Okay, mine looks better. Dan already told you. And mine happened in this century.
You got Cuban zirconia in yours.
I really don't. But the Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks -8. You probably do. You got a class rating like I got.
Hey, you know that there was actually a minor league baseball team called the River Monsters?
I didn't know there was a baseball team. No.
Yeah, I was watching Ken Burns' documentary on Major League Baseball.
Oh, don't watch that. It's all fake.
I know, but they talked about the minor league team in so you guys were what, the River Rats?
No, we were River Monsters.
Oh, there was the River Rats then. The other team was the River Rats.
Yeah, River Rats is just stupid. All right.
It was a baseball team. Anyway,
all right,
go ahead.
Dan, Cardinals at Seahawks.
The Ken Burns documentary on Buffaloes are
Seahawks
fabulous.
-8. All Ken Burns documentaries are bullshit. Go ahead.
This one wasn't.
It was.
So I'm going to go with Seattle. They're the better team, better quarterback, better defense. Arizona's dealing with injuries at the running back position. Connor is down. Nobody really impressed in their backfield last week. And even though Dobbs was playing well to start the season, he is who we thought he was. He ain't going to be winning that many games. Marquise Brown ain't enough on the outside. Zach Ertz is a lovely piece at tight end, but not that good either. No one's coming to save these guys. And I'm going to take Seattle.
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle too. Steve?
Yeah, Seattle is top 5 in rushing defense. I think Seattle -8. I'll take Seattle.
All right, next up, Steve. Green Bay -1.5 at Denver.
Well, neither one of these teams are playing good football. Denver just is an enigma to me. Russell Wilson's starting to elevate his game, but it doesn't seem to be having any effect.
None.
On this football team. Packers are coming off a bye week. Aaron Jones is coming back. But Green Bay can't stop anybody in the run. I'm going to go with Denver in this game. And what is it? Denver giving up 1.5, Green Bay -1.5. So Denver gets 1.5. I'll take the 1.5 and take the Broncos because it's in Mile High.
All right, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers because it looks like Aaron Jones is back. Neither one of these teams can stop the run. Jordan Love is up and down. Russell Williams doesn't get enough support in the run game. He gets enough support in the run game, but he doesn't support the run game with any kind of pass game at all, even though he's played better, but it's like against the Bears and crap. So
Are you talking about Javonte Williams or Russell Wilson?
I was talking about Russell Wilson doesn't support the run game. I mean, they can run the ball, but they can't pass the ball because they got the McLaughlin kid too, who's a decent runner. Both teams should be able to run it. I'm going to side with Aaron Jones. It looks like he will be back. If he's back, the Packers will win this game, Dan. It's an ugly game, though.
It is.
Yeah, this is really gross. I have Green Bay written down. Now that Mike picked them, I don't want to pick Green Bay anymore. Mostly because I want to make up a little bit of ground, but
Wow. Dan,
I
you
can
could
tell
have
you
said I'm
this.
picking Denver because Risley
Yep.
picked Denver.
That would have been nicer.
I can't pick Denver. As much as I've been on the bandwagon the last couple of years, I'm off this bandwagon. I'm done with these clowns until I see something different. Russell Wilson didn't look good last week. The defensive struggles are well documented. If Jones is back, they're going to lean on that. Hopefully, Jordan Love doesn't turn the ball over 3 times. I'll go Green Bay.
All right, next up, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Dan? I mean, because right now the Kansas City Chiefs are winning because of their defense.
Yo, their defense is right.
Yeah.
Who would have known? And they just traded for Mecole Hardman from the Jets for a late pick swap.
Yeah,
They
I
want to
saw
bolster
that
that wide
today.
receiver core. It doesn't mean much, but maybe it gives them a little jolt of energy. I'm going to take Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is amazing, but the ground game is on point. Isaiah Pacheco is playing well. The offensive line is doing its job. It's better than I thought it would be, even with 2 brand new tackles. And that defense has been on point thus far. I'm curious to see how Justin Herbert's, I don't know, what is it, a finger or something like that? I think his finger was in a splint or something like that last week. They're coming off their bye. So maybe he's a little health failure, but that is worth watching because it is on his throwing hand. So keep an eye out for that. But I like this 5.5 line. I'll take Kansas City at home.
Stevie?
Yeah, I mean, Chargers are probably the biggest disappointment in the NFL to me. This is a team I thought would be doing a lot better than they are. They're just not that good.
Well, it's because of the coaching.
Staley needs to go.
Hey, but I'll give you this stat. If you want a stat before you pick the game, I believe LA under Staley is like 5-2 or 6-2 against the spread as a road underdog.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
6-2. It was either 5-2 or 6-2.
6-2. Yeah.
So what's it going to be, Steve?
I think this. I think that I really like what Patrick Mahomes has done. He's matured and he's playing. He still has that ability to make weird crap happen and have it come out right. But he's spending more time in the pocket and trying to run an efficient offense. I think Kansas City is really getting there. Their defense is allowing just 13 points a game. Since the loss against the Lions, 5.5 points. I like that spread against the Chargers. Chargers are just not good. It's coaching. Like Mike said, the Chargers would be a much better football team if they had Lions head coach.
If they had Mike Goodpaster.
If they had Mike Goodpaster good head coach, they'd be much better. Better than if they had the Lions coach, I think. I think Mike would be great.
Dan Campbell could
the good thing, Dan, is if Mike went and coached the Chargers,
I'll still do the show
with us, and
yeah,
he would have to drop out.
I could do the show.
Not allow him to gamble.
I would do the show. I just wouldn't make picks. I would just call you guys
because
dumbasses
the show is
for
about
2
making
hours.
picks and gambling.
I was just being a host. All right, I'm
taking the Chiefs.
I'm going to go away from you guys. I'm going to take the Chargers because this is an AFC West divisional game. If we notice, the Chiefs only beat the Broncos 19-8. Say all you want about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes ain't right now. I mean, 11 touchdowns, 5 picks. Hell, he's had years where he didn't throw 5 picks, hadn't he?
Yeah.
And
Mike.
It's 2-1. And I mean, their defense is playing well. They're not scoring a lot of points. But the thing that sticks out to me is this. The Chargers, I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure here. But I think they've beat the Chiefs a few times in Kansas City over the last few years. And even when they don't, those games are really close. These teams know each other very well. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Chargers into 5.5 points. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily picking the Chiefs to win the game. I just think the Chargers will stay within 5.5 because I think this ends up like a 24-20 game.
Yeah. So, Mike, to what you mentioned about the Chargers winning at Arrowhead, the Chargers lost last year, but in 2021 they played twice at Arrowhead, and the Chargers beat them twice.
How did they do that?
I don't know. I'm looking at this website, this history website, and it has Chargers 9-26-2021 and 1-3-2021. So I'm guessing
playoff game.
It was
They
a
won a
playoff
playoff
game from the
game.
previous season. Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
Chargers didn't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, though, in 2020.
Or the
Well, it'd be from the
17
season before,
year
but the same
before.
calendar year, Mike.
I mean, because the Chiefs' only playoff losses, though, in the last 5 years were to the Bengals and the Patriots.
I mean, I hope this website's correct, but yeah.
All right. Next
Anyway.
up, we've got the Miami Dolphins at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 2.5. And this is a game we've got the two old Alabama quarterbacks. You got Tua against Jalen Hurts. I mean, Tua took 4 sacks of Miami's only loss this season. And you know the Eagles can get after the passer. I'll tell you, when I look at this game, I think the difference is the defense. The Eagles are coming off a loss. They're going to want to get straight, as Dan says. I think the Eagles win this game. I think they do it by more than 2.5, Steve.
Yeah, I don't need to say a lot. I'm going to call this the style versus substance game. And I think it's the style of Miami. They are a high-flying offensive machine, putting points on the board and running up yardages, averaging almost 500 yards a game on total offense, putting up 37 points a game. And the Eagles are just a typical Philadelphia football team, just all about substance, much like the Phillies. You know,
Really? You think the Eagles are about substance?
I think they're about substance. Yeah, I think they're down and dirty. They play physical football.
I know, to a fault, which hurts their team. I don't like the style. I don't like all the RPOs.
Mike, you know where I came from in my basketball career. We were substance. We just beat the shit out of people, and we weren't really high flying. We weren't Michael Jordan in the North Carolina Tar Heels. We were Indiana, and I think the Phillies are built a lot like that. Not off the Indiana, there's nothing to do with it, but I like substance over style any day of the week. That's why I drive a Ram pickup truck with a Hemi engine. It's got 500 horsepower in it. The son of a bitch goes fast. It ain't pretty, but it goes freaking fast. And it gets up and goes. And I think the Eagles are just like that.
Isn't that style?
That's substance.
No, that's style.
No,
Because it goes
style
fast.
is the Ferrari I beat off the line the other day. So
yeah, you beat a Ferrari.
Stoplight.
Okay.
That's style.
Okay, Dan.
I got the Eagles minus 2.5.
All right, Dan.
So Eagles. Okay. This game was tough for me to pick. It's weird. It's a tough game because on one hand, I don't truly trust Miami. Their offensive line is questionable. Their defense isn't quite
That's why
right.
this game's easy to pick to me.
And on the flip side, Philly hasn't really hit their stride yet. They just lost against the Jets in a game where Hurts turned the ball over with a bunch of times. I think they threw 3 picks. They didn't look good at all. It seems like now they're trying to force the ball to A.J. Brown, and that's not a good thing. This offense flows better when Smith and Goddard are involved. But for me, it comes down to Miami's lackluster defense and their offensive line questions. I think Philly's going to get after it. I'll take Philly.
I agree with you guys, and we could have moved on. Next up, we've got the San Francisco 49ers.
Hey, I want
last
to
game
make
of the
one
week.
comment. You talked about the Eagles losing to the Jets last week. I got to give Mike some props. He made the MVP pick of the season so far by taking the Jets. We might
shock the hell out of me. Let me tell you. Shocked the hell out of me that the
tell
Jets
you what,
won
Mike
that
had
game.
it down. He knew something we didn't know. He knew about that 3-point home advantage that I didn't know about.
I know a lot of stuff you guys don't know. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers, favored by 7.
Way to be gracious.
When you put it that way, I almost feel bad, dumbass. 49ers minus 7 at the Vikings, Dan.
I'm taking San Francisco. They're going to be pissed. Now, I know they're another team that's dealing with a ton of injuries. Christian McCaffrey, questionable for this game, may very well be out. Deebo Samuel's another one. He left last week's game with an injury. He's also questionable. He's always seemed to be nicked up for some reason. I don't get it. But he's questionable, so that's something to keep an eye out for. But and Trent Williams. Trent Williams was also injured. The only reason he came back is because he didn't want his offense to have to block Myles Garrett without him. The man's a soldier, old as shit. still out there
I
playing
hate
through
when
injury.
people call football
Real
players soldiers or act like they're in a war. It's so demeaning to people that actually had bullets shot at them. But go ahead.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but I'm not changing. I'm sticking by it. Also, on the flip side, Minnesota, no Jefferson. I don't know how this offense is going to go. As good as Kirk Cousins has been in the past, and he's not playing poorly this year, they're not a good rushing team. A lot of questions on offense, a lot of questions on defense. San Fran should steamroll them. I'll go San Fran.
I'm going to go Minnesota. So I think Kirk Cousins is really good. I think you may have no McCaffrey. You may have no Samuel. No Trent Williams would be enormous too, by the way. And remember, we just saw this team get beat in Cleveland. In Minnesota, I think the stat I saw today when I was looking this up was Kevin O'Connell has never lost by more than 7 points at home. That's what I read, but I couldn't remember. Did the Cowboys beat them up at Minnesota last year, or was that down in Dallas?
That might have been down in Dallas.
So I'm going to take Minnesota because I think Kirk Cousins is a stud. I don't care what anybody thinks. I never do because everybody I know is a dumbass. So I'm going to go with Minnesota -7, Steve.
Yeah, are you picking them to win or just cover the spread?
I don't have to pick anybody to win. I'm just picking the spread.
Yeah, you're right. Good point. I think McCaffrey will play. He's a tough kid.
For a little
bit. Debo, that guy, like you said, he's kind of a flake. But I heard that the 49ers were going to pick up Terrell Owens until he got run over by a car because he cheated in a basketball game in Calabasas, home of the Kardashians, and my wife works in Calabasas.
Well, I'll tell you, it's always dangerous nowadays when you call your own fouls.
Yeah, he called his own fouls, and then some guy got out the game and ran him over.
Yeah, because we all know, Steve, in the 70s, 80s, call your own foul means if you're not missing teeth, you better not call that foul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how it was when I played. Yeah. I don't know. I think the 49ers brain farted last week. I think they ran into a decent football team who was very motivated to play. Again, going back to
they got beat by P.J. Walker. And Brock Purdy looked like crap against an actual pass rush.
Yeah, and I don't know that the 49ers took Cleveland as seriously as they should have. I don't think they waltzed in there, but that's the NFL, and we talked about that. You said
anybody can
earlier
beat
that
anybody.
There's teams that can't win. I don't agree with you. On any given Sunday, any team can win. But in this week, I think the 49ers bounce back. I still think they're the best team in the NFL right now.
Because I think Dan mocked me last week when I picked the Jets to beat the Eagles. But.
Yeah, no, we all did, Mike. We all did. Yeah,
I absolutely
but
did.
That's 100%. A perfect example.
And I even gave you my reasons, and they were dead on.
Any given Sunday, baby. Ask Al Pacino. Game of inches.
Who could have predicted Hurts would throw 3 picks?
49ers field goal was about 5 inches to the left. We'd have a tie game, and who knows what would have happened.
Also, San Fran struggled with Cleveland because, guys, I think at this point, I'll say at this point, we can say Cleveland's defense is truly great thus far. Through the first 6 games, they're doing stuff that we haven't seen in decades.
On a 3-point spread, you idiots took the Colts, and I took the Browns.
So it's a 1.5 point spread, Steve.
Well, that means the Browns are favored in the game. By your new 3-point rule.
Sure. And I tried to explain to you when a team has a large upset win, what usually happens the next week. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I'm going to take San Francisco and give up to 7 points. I think the 49ers are for real.
All right, guys. Anything else we want to discuss before we wrap it up?
No, Mike, I have to give you credit. I kept scoring. You only used dumbass one time, and that was against me. You haven't called Dan a dumbass yet.
There's no reason to because I've beaten you both so bad. I almost feel bad for you.
Wow. Okay.
So what is it, Dan? You're down by 5 and Steve's down by 6?
Correct.
Dan, you jumped ahead of me. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, last week you had a really bad week, Steve.
Yeah, I did. I know I did.
Or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so Steve, in week 5, you had 7. Mike and I both had 10. So that's how I was able to jump you.
Fair enough.
Have I had a losing week yet?
Let me
so,
see. Mike, week 1, 8-8. Week 2
was a wash. Week
3, 9-7. Week 4, 10-5. Week 5, 10-4. Week 6, 11-4. So no,
that is against the spread.
Correct.
Almost a month. with winning 10 or more games.
We're going to start calling you Mike the Greek.
Don't do
Goodpaster.
that, because Jimmy the Greek was almost always wrong when I used to watch him on CBS Sports.
Yeah, I know, but he got famous being Jimmy the Greek.
Well, he's a dipshit.
Yeah, Mike, and I follow a bunch of different like experts or whatever on betting on their spreads and stuff like that, and you're up there. You're up. You would be up there with some of the more well-known names that actually are good at picking these.
Unlike
games.
We're absolutely privileged to be on the air with you talking football.
Oh, you guys are so kind.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
You're both dumbasses, but you're both so kind. What are you doing, Dan?
That's what we're doing. That's what I hear coming from these microphones.
All right, guys. Remember, BetMGM is the best place to bet on the NFL this year and college football. Make sure you click on the link in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube. All of our shows can now be seen on Rumble, Spotify. You can hear us on Spotify. You can watch us on Rumble. You can hear us on iHeartRadio, over 350 different outlets worldwide. We will be back next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Hold on. Dan wants to share his screen.
It's pretty. I like
the white. Thank you for going back to white.
You are welcome, Steve. Well, I will never go to the black background on the screen again for your
tell
viewing
Steve's from
purposes.
Indiana, huh?
No, it just I use that as my score sheet during the game, the Sunday, and when you're in black, I have a black Sharpie and I can't see what I check.
Oh,
yeah, it's a lot of wasted ink.
With white, I can see what I check.
I'll leave it white
Thank
background,
you.
so it's
Thank you.
clear.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So there it
You're
is.
going to send that out right away and not wait for me to have to send it.
Well, I'll tell you this. I took a lot of risky picks here, Dan. If you lose ground again this week, you're in trouble.
I agree. You went against the spread. You went against the core. So did I. I made a lot of difference.
Let me get this right. I'm 5 up on Dan, 6 up on Steve.
There you go.
Damn. It's like a blowout early.
And Mike, we've picked 6 teams, 6 games differently.
I picked a bunch different from you guys.
The Pats, Bills, the Lions, Ravens, the Steelers, Rams, the Chargers, Colts, Chargers, Chiefs, the 49ers, Vikings. Okay, so
what
5.
About me?
Sorry.
Nobody cares about my picks though, because I suck.
Well, I'm in first, so
pretty much.
But I got the 3-point thing down pat now.
There you go. All right. All right, guys.
How many did I pick?
Huh?
From Mike, you are 1, 2, 3.
Thanks, Robert.
4, 5,
Ooh,
6.
6 different than Mike. Mike, I could
Dan.
catch you.
Or you could be completely blown out of the water.
I could be.
It could go either way.
I could be down with the Titanic.
Oh wait, we had some more chats here that I missed. I gotta find
Robert
them.
said pick differently. I know he's talking about me.
Robert says Dolphins best offense. Robert says pick differently.
They are the best offense.
All right,
but
we're caught up. All right, if
can't
you
be
want to follow
one-dimensional.
Dan, you can follow Dan at DB Talking Sports.
That's the one. DB
You can
Talking
follow
Sports.
Steve Risley at SRisley34. You can follow myself at Grueling Truth. And make sure you check out BetMGM for all your betting needs on the NFL this coming weekend. Guys, we'll be back next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. But for now, for Steve Risley, Dan Kornhauser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.